Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers. We're going to do a little draft talk. We're going to hit on some free agents that are on a short list of players that I think might be a good pickup. We're going to kind of dive into it together and see what you guys and gals think here in the chat. Appreciate everybody following in. If you would hit that like button on the way in, feel free to sub to the channel. If this is your first time in here, tell us it's your first time. We welcome all the first time viewers so they can end the show with saying this show sucks. You'll never see me again. That's how we roll. So Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was a first time viewer at one point, and
you said
never got rid of me ever since. I've been here ever since.
Tim said this show sucks, but I mean, they'll let me hang around. I'll hang around,
they haven't asked me to leave yet, so I'm going to stick around for sure. Shout out to our other co-host tonight too, stuck at the office, right? You got Jacob stuck at work, you got Emilio stuck at work, battling an ice storm, having fun.
If there's a dollar bill shortage in the Wisconsin area, just know it's because Jacob's been working overtime. All right, that's all. I'll just leave it at that. Mountain Man Pack in the house said it's hard to pick either of these two for center when we don't have a replacement for either. Great point, Mountain Man Pack. And, of course, he is talking about the poll question that Tim, thank God, reminded me of. I had already forgot. And that poll question is, which would you rather move to the center position, Zach Tom or Elgton Jenkins? All right, everybody get your vote in here on YouTube. We also put it up on Twitter, so I'll try to keep an eye on that as we move forward as well. Tim, who would your pick be, man?
I was just looking at my phone. I was going to vote right now on the poll.
Go ahead, vote, and tell me what your vote is.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and vote for Elgton Jenkins, I think.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and go Big E.
You'd rather keep Zach Tom at right tackle, kick Elgton to center, and then try to obviously replace Elgton at guard.
I think so, because I feel like maybe we have that guy. Maybe it's as simple as switching Sean Ryan over and having Sean Ryan try left guard, or it's Jordan Morgan. I don't know. I like Zach Tom where he is right now. I know he'd be a stud center for sure, but I think Elton's the dude for the job. If you had to ask me to pick one of those two.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. As excited as I would be to see how Zach Tom could dominate the center position, I think he would be right up there with Creed Humphrey. I really do. For me personally, I think the tackle is that important, even on the front side of a right-handed quarterback, which we have in Jordan Love. I think my pick out of those two would be Elgton to center and continue this process with Jordan Morgan playing guard and obviously Sean Ryan playing guard. And here's the thing too, guys, like we obviously got a whole draft coming up. So there's a chance that you draft someone that just dominates the guard position and takes over one of those starting spots as well. And that kind of fixes your depth issue that we've seen obviously resurface there against the Eagles in the playoffs. So I don't know, that's kind of how I see it. But if someone says, hey, Zach Tom to center and put Jordan Morgan at right tackle, I can understand that stance too, man. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of high hopes for Jordan Morgan. Obviously, he was beating Sean Ryan out for that right guard spot. They were basically forcing him to rotate. And, I think that Steno talked about it. Coach Stenovich talked about it multiple times throughout the year. Yeah, we feel like we got two starters there at right guard is the way he felt. So now whether you disagree with that, that's cool. We can, that's totally understandable there too. But, yeah, for me it would be Elgton at center. And I understand what you're saying, Tim, like kicking Sean Ryan to left guard. That way Jordan Morgan don't have to learn another guard position, And really it's been kind of good on the job training, I think, too, because Jordan Morgan has played left tackle his entire career, right through high school and college. And then, of course, them throwing him to right guard, maybe that's a way to ease him into learning how to play the right side where he's only played the left. And who knows, man, that could have been a precursor of let's get him familiar with the right side and playing that opposite balance, that opposite kick step there.
Yep.
To maybe ease him into the right tackle spot so Zach Tom could kick the center if Rob Domofsky's correct on the center of the future's in-house and he kind of alluded to it possibly being Zach Tom. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, I would agree because on the surface, you figure like Zach Tom's probably the best dude, right? Like if you're talking pound for pound, I would probably give him a slight edge over Elton at the center position. But I think we've had such a good thing with him at the right tackle position. I don't want to jinx it. He's played nearly flawless football these past 2 seasons at the right tackle spot. And I'd hate to move him off of that if we can move some other pieces around.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Jason Y in the chat said it just confirms we're drafting O-line in the first round. I don't know if it confirms it, Jason, but man, it we updated ours and we now have 4 offensive linemen that the Packers have met with, at least what we've got on the books right now in terms of what Easton Butler has done a great job compiling and reporting on which players the Packers have met with. So far, you got 7 defensive linemen, 6 cornerbacks, 4 edges, 4 wide receivers, 4 offensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 1 tight end, 1 slot, which is truly a safety, but he had a lot of slot reps. I think more slot than safety reps, and then 1 kicker. So O-line is kind of tied for 3rd right now, but that could change as we get into the top 30 visits and all that as well. So I think Drew makes a great point right here, Tim. He says you just can't move a right tackle to center because you're willing to pay center top offensive tackle money, ? Here's the thing about that. When Elton got his deal, Elton's deal was actually pretty team-friendly, to be honest with you. And I felt like it was somewhat team-friendly because they were telling him, you're going to be playing guard, you're going to be playing guard. Now, when they initially did the contract, I personally felt like they might be BS him. He's going to end up being the left tackle. And if we hadn't found Rasheed Walker, that may have been the case. They may have just thrown Elton Jenkins out of left tackle, right? But with that being said, if you're going to pay Zach Tom, starter money, you would rather pay him center money than tackle money. But make no mistakes about it. His representation, his agent, is going to be looking for top tackle money because that's what he's played. So there probably is a little bit of that going on too. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that's the vibe coming out of his camp, and he deserves to feel that way, right? Hey, I'll play center, but you're going to pay me like a top tier tackle. Right. At the end of the day, I'll play wherever you need me to play, but the contract's going to be the contract. And we've talked about that for the last few months, right? Zach Tom's got to get the money, man. Get the Brinks truck ready, man. Load it up, make sure there's air in those bulletproof tires, and pull it up to the crib and drop the money off. And then I think once you do that, wherever the hell they want him to play, he's going to have no problem doing it.
Right. Definitely. Johnny B in the chat says, as Elton gets older, is center easier to play versus guard, or is it the other way around? I've always felt like it was easier to play center than guard when it comes to, just having to be physical, right? And the reason I say that's when you do face a true dominant player in the middle and they're in a one tech, you typically got guard help.
Right.
And with guard, sometimes
you are the help.
Exactly. And on top of that, if they line up a 5-man jam, guess what you got to be prepared to do? You got to be prepared to absorb a big 3 tech smacking you in the mouth. You've also got to have a quick enough kick step to get outside if they try to take your outside shoulder. And you've got to have a quick enough, a good enough awareness and quick enough feet to slide back inside if they run an ET stun on you. Yep. So and with the center, it's more snap the effing ball, Josh, right? It's handling the snap and then helping along the way. Now, there's going to be times that they load a bear front or something like that where the center is going to have to take care of a hog molly up front. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I feel like center would be easier to play as you get older. And also, you want your center to be the smartest lineman.
I was just going to say, it probably favors the aging player better, too, because of the experience factor. Being able to change a protection or, call out a mic, those kind of things. I definitely think you get better as you get older, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And let's see here, Daryl in the chat. What if Nolan gets selected by another team still aiming for CJ West in need of a defensive lineman? We're actually going to talk a little bit about CJ West here in a second. Matter of fact, we'll just hit it right now. I won't put it on the screen. But Justin M at Justin M_NFL over on X said Indiana football defensive tackle CJ West is among my favorite 2025 NFL draft prospects. At CJ West 50 was downright dominant at the Shrine Bowl, and it talks about he met with 30 teams so far. that's shown interest. The Packers are one of those. The Lions are one of those. So I think if anything, what's going to happen here with CJ West, Daryl, is his stock's going to continue to rise as more teams get into that sweepstakes. So we'll see where he ends up, obviously, but glad you brought that up because it was kind of already in the notes to talk about that a little bit. Right here, Ron Samuel says top tackle money is probably close to double top center money. Every bit of it. I mean, I'm not sure what Creed's getting paid, and I think he was the latest one to get the contract extension. There was rumors of a player. I'm trying to think. The Eagles center is set to get a contract, and they're projecting in at like $11 million per. Now he's not considered, a top 3 center in the game, at least according to PFF. He graded out in the upper 60s, which is pretty solid for a center, comparatively speaking across the league. But at $11 million, I would say your top center probably getting 15 to 16 million, something like that, I imagine, on average annual value. It doesn't mean it's the cap hit this year, but if you average it out over the course of the entirety of the contract, that's probably what you'd have. So let's see your dead fish. Packers have one more year, and Tom, Ryan, and Walker are all free agents. How many are the Packers going to pay, and how many are they going to have to let go? In my opinion, if it were me, I would model the roster to pay Zach Tom top money. He's earned it. He deserves it. And I would pay Rasheed Walker somewhere between 12 to 17 million per, in that range. Now, if he wants to try to break the bank and go 22, 23 million per, that's going to get a little tough.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I don't even know. I mean, you could probably trade him, but if his contract is run out, it might be something you have to slap a franchise tag on him and then try to deal him, and he can work out a deal with someone else. But yeah, I like Rasheed Walker. I think he's done a damn good job. I mean, he is far exceeded the expectations of a 7th-round pick, obviously. But I'm just not ready to crack the 20 million mark, and that's what the going rate is. So when I say modeling the roster, what I'm talking about is I see us paying 2 offensive linemen top money, okay? When I say top money, I mean, paying them what they're worth, not lowballing, right? So what you've got right now is you've got Elton Jenkins getting paid, and that's it pretty much, right? So if Zach Tom's due up, then you're going to have Zach Tom and Elton. Well, here's what's cool. Elton's on the backside of that contract. You can start to shave off cap by guaranteeing more money and lowering the cap number there. So you've got room to sign Rasheed Walker. But again, is Rasheed Walker great or is he good? That's the question. The problem there, Tim, is Rasheed Walker, I think, is right in between good and great, So if there's a position you're going to overpay for someone who's on the verge of being great as opposed to just be good, it's definitely left tackle. But I don't know if I'm quite there yet to pay like top left tackle money.
I feel a lot better answering this question after the 2025 season.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get a better barometer. We might feel a hell of a lot different about Rasheed Walker. We may be saying pay that man his money.
We might be going,
we might be going by Felicia. We never know. One thing is not debatable is Zach Tom gets the money for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Ryan's interesting because I feel like he's steadily improved these past couple of seasons, and his versatility, being able to play multiple positions, also helps him out too. So I don't think you lowball him. I think he may end up testing the market, but I think, meet somewhere in the middle with a guy like that. Maybe you keep him around a little longer and see, but I don't know if Sean Ryan's the guy that you're, building your O-line around or anything. I would think, that's Zach Tom and Rasheed probably.
Yeah. I'm going to look here real quick and sort by pressures, and let's go, trying to see how many snaps our boy Sheed actually had this year. Real quick, I want to compare and contrast the pressures allowed because I felt like he had a really good pass blocking year. Where are you at, Rasheed Walker? Here we go. So he's the 45th highest graded tackle. So that includes left tackles and right tackles, obviously. His pass blocking grade it was great, right? His pass blocking grade, I've already lost him now. Where are you at there, Sheed? I know I just had you. Bang. Pass blocking grade 80.1, but his run blocking grade 53.5. But again, I think there's a little bit of confusion there at PFF on how they grade the run blockers. That's just me, because every single year we have a running back that's toward the top of the list, and somehow, some way, we're one of the worst run blocking units on offensive line according to PFF, but our running backs are just running crazy, you know. But when we sort by pressures and hurries and pressures here, Rasheed Walker, according to PFF, gave up 37 pressures in pass blocking. So to put that into perspective here, that means Rasheed Walker gave up the 20th most pressures allowed. Okay, so again, where do you want to put that? Like if you remove the minimum snaps here, let's go 20% of the snaps, and let's go pressures allowed here, right? And again, when you go by snaps, it gets a little bit tough to compare and contrast. Let me see here real quick. Let me finagle this just a touch. Like Zach Tom gave up 28 pressures, according to PFF, is what they're saying. All right. And again, Sheed significantly worse than that at 37. He had 1,100 total snaps, okay? So if we were to say, let's just take it to 50% of the 1,265 snaps to get a realistic gauge on, all right, these were the starters, and we'll sort it by least pressures to highest. And let's see where Sheed ended up here. Zach Tom finishes 26th with the 28 pressures, and it looks like our boy Rasheed Walker will finish 40th. That's well within starter range, but again, nowhere near top tackle, top money should be paid there, in my opinion. If you just go strictly off of pressures, right? Because again, we gotta look at everything in that regard. Let's see here what else we got. Chris in the house. Sheed has done everything they've asked him from day one. He has. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
But is he a top 5 tackle? That's what you got to ask yourself. Is he a top 5 left tackle? Yes or no? And I don't think I'm there. I think he's a starting quality tackle. I really do. That's where you get in that ballpark of you could potentially be overpaying for him. You know,
that's the tough spot with him because he's, it was sink or swim for him from the get go, and he's definitely chose to swim, right? And I think he's played a lot better than a lot of us expected. We thought him moving into that spot, after the Bakhtiari debacle, we thought maybe that was a patch or a quick fix, and maybe it is. Maybe, after this season, it is time to move on. We don't know. But there's also a chance he could really take another step and be even better and really solidify himself over there. And, it's tough. You don't want to overpay for good, like you always say. But you don't want to underpay and insult or let a guy walk and then he goes somewhere else and becomes a stud and a monster. We've seen it time and time again. It happens not just to the Packers, but any team in the NFL. A guy goes, you got away 1 year too soon, and the guy's a stud and finishes his career somewhere else, and he's an all-pro or whatever. So I think you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place with Rasheed, and unfortunately, I'd like to see one more year of football before I decide anything.
Yeah, I get it, man. And this comment here, I think I may have unmarked it actually. Someone was saying, what was he gets better every year. That was the comment. Whoever said that, I apologize. It's not on there now. Thought I had marked it and I did not. Anyway, that was the comment. I want to give credit for whoever it was. But yeah, there we go. Chuck in the chat says Walker gets better every year. All right. So when you look at the grades too, he has gotten better. But again, perspective, right? 2022, he had no grade because he didn't play any snaps, right? Or he played very, very minimal snaps, I would imagine, if he played any at all. I don't think he played any at all. 2023, he was a 66.3. He was the 44th highest graded tackle. In 2024, he jumped to 68.6, so he improved by 2.3 points. And again, this is just PFF. Pass blocking grade, he was 18th out of 80 tackles. That's solid. That you're getting up in that range, Tim, where it's like, okay, that dude deserves the checkbook, right? But then the run blocking grade, 62nd out of 72 at a 53.5. That's where it gets a little shaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has gotten better both years that he's played. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. That's what I say. It's like, it's tough to, you don't want to get away too soon, right? You never know.
Right. And Holmes MD1, not sure we can afford to pay a top 5 tackle. We can afford it. There's no doubt about it. You just, in my opinion, you can't afford to pay 3 top offensive lineman money. Zach Tom, that's top priority. Paid that man his monies, right? That's the way that needs to be. Rasheed Walker, we want a fair deal for both parties, right? Elton Jenkins, on the backside of the contract, you can do some maneuver in there with some restructuring and free up cap space there to help bridge that gap, maybe the Sheed. And who knows, man? Jordan Morgan might emerge this year healthy and be absolutely freaking dominant to the point where they say, you know what, let's kick him over to left tackle next year and let Rasheed walk. That could happen too. So he's definitely got some experience at left tackle. We'll see though, man. I like Rasheed. I hope he makes it back for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that, Holmes. I think we can afford to pay a top 5 tackle. There's no doubt about it, man. It's just like I said, a little bit of maneuvering and you won't have to mortgage the future either. You just got to get creative with how you structure everything so it falls in line with the future cap hits that are on the horizon. And we know, man, it's a good young team. It's coming. It's coming like a freight train. That text I sent to you guys earlier, Tim, I want to hit it real quick. I think I put it in here and screenshotted it. Maybe I did not. That's Jared Wilson. Crossfire, one of our viewers / listeners, sent me a text message and asked to look at Jared Wilson real quick. Okay, he's obviously a center out of Georgia. I'll try to get this to where you guys can see it pretty decently. Jared Wilson is on our board. I thought I had it sorted correctly here. Here we go. He is in the 101 spot is where we've got him, Crossfire. Okay, so he's 101 on our board, 101st, I should say. His 2023 PFF grade, he was the 64th highest graded center. In 2024, he went from 64 all the way up to 11th. The PFF Big Board had him at 103, right around where we had him. The Consensus Big Board had him at 143. Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in the top 50. The 33rd team did not have him in the initial top 100, but Dane Brugler had him at 83. So Dane Brugler's grade obviously helping him on our board here just a touch. So that's where Jared Wilson sits. And if we go back through and try to identify the true centers in this draft are guys that you feel really good about playing center. Jonah Monheim out of USC, he's a center / guard. We've got him in the 88 spot currently. And then if you climb on up the board, I thought there was someone else. Maybe there wasn't. It probably the one that's still marked in the green, Gray Zabel, who many people are saying he'll be an excellent center. He's actually our top guy that can play center. He's sitting in the 52 spot. So, yeah, Jared Wilson, Tim, I'd be okay with that.
Yep.
You can
down one spot on the current PFF board, has him at 104, so 103 to 104, little bit of movement there. But yeah, man, 11th overall center, 79.6 last year, pretty good grade.
Yeah,
got the size, 6'3", 310, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got an age on him. I can't find. I don't know. I'm just trying to factor in the Goody DiCaprio.
It's wild how some of the prospects on that board, they don't list the age. It's like they're hiding.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Jared Wilson, right?
He's a Libra, but we don't know how old he is. No, I don't know.
Age. Let's go Georgia. Immediately, it's AI's trying to track down people in my area whose name Jared Wilson. Their age. Let's see here. I don't know how old this is. I don't think it was an article. Hopefully, it's new here. They're showing him 21 years old on 24/7.
Okay.
So
all right. So he's qualifier.
And it says experience 2021 through 2025. I'm assuming that's updated there, in real time. But if you guys see something different, let me know for sure.
Yeah, he's progressively played more football. I mean, even just going back to 2022, 8 games in 2022, 9 in 23, 12 games last year. Grade continues to go up. He looks like a guy that you could feel really good about drafting, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think for him, though? Probably 3rd round pick?
Yeah, I mean, we've got him. Again, you're talking about Jared Wilson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Jared Wilson, again, we have him where, yes, sir, in the 101 spot. So, yeah, I mean, you think, 32, 64, 96. Yeah, 3rd round. I'd be okay with the 3rd round. 2nd round, be a little – if Goody takes him in the 2nd round, it means he sees him the same way he's seen Elton Jenkins, right?
Sure.
Unfortunately, it also says he sees him the same way he's seen Josh Myers, so you got to kind of, okay. Yeah. Elton was I think a slam dunk. I think that was a home run, right? And many people forget, they say Elton ain't a center. Elton played center in college. Like, that was his position coming out. That's what was so odd about it, was like, why are we taking a center? Because at the time, I want to say we were pretty solidified there, right? I think we might have had Corey Lindsley at the time, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
But that's the Green Bay way, right? Let's draft that center and make him play tackle or guard or,
I can change him. Right?
I can change him.
And we know that's the culture nowadays, no doubt. All right. So you guys remember earlier today we talked about, or we played an audio clip on the morning show of Josh Jacobs talking about his favorite type of run, and it was duo, right? And then he also mentioned how they were getting creative out of the gun, and they ran a pin and pull play. Now, he didn't specifically say pin and pull, but he gave some specifics about the play that they ran. And what he said was they had a receiver do motion, and he did this as he I'm watching this in my mind as he's talking about it. We bring him over motion, and he did that. That tells you orbit, right? Talking about going around the quarterback, zipper orbit. And then he said, and then he went in one direction, we faked to him, they handed to me, and we had a guard and a tight end pulling, okay, leading there. So you know me, I'm a dork. I went and combed through the tape earlier, and I found
You found it. I know you did. One
So
of those tape guys again. Here goes the tape guy.
Tape guys back at it again. I tell you what, and of course it reset on me. Here we go. Let's go.
Here's the guy.
75 here. All right. So here is the play I think he was talking about against the Bears, and they probably ran it multiple times. So what I call this play, it's really what it is. It's a counter pin and pull, but the way I would describe this play and the way I break down tape is 11 gun F zipper orbit 24 GY power right. Okay. And let me explain what all that means. 11 gun, it's 11 personnel. So you've got one running back, one tight end. You see they're in the picture right here. So we're in a strong left with a sidecar left as well. Okay. T same on this specific play. The F zipper orbit, you're going to see it right here. Okay. And we got it in somewhat slow motion. There's F. That's Jaden Reed playing the F. He's going to come over. That's orbit motion. When you go over and come back, they call that zipper. I'd always called it yo-yo. We switched our verbiage to mock what Greg Cosell was referring to as zipper motion, okay? So they run zipper, but it's orbit. What we mean by orbit is the running back is going to go around the quarterback. Think of a planet, right? A sun orbiting the planets, or the planets orbiting the sun, whatever. The moon orbiting the earth. If you're not a flat earther out there, okay? I know we've got a couple in the crowd. Calm down. I'm not saying I'm staying neutral on that argument. It gets hot in them streets, Tim, on the flat earth conversation.
I believe it.
Here's the orbit, right? Coming back. They're going to fake to Jaden Reed. Now, when you say counter, this is what I mean by counter. Watch Josh Jacobs' first move here.
He's going to step left, correct?
Step left, right? Yep. And give that little oomph. Now, here's what he was talking about. You got Elton pulling, and you got Tucker Kraft behind him pulling. Now, when you hear me say pin and pull, you're thinking, what's that mean, Clayton? This side of the line is going to pin down. They're going to pin and pull, okay? So you're going to see Josh Myers seal off the backside. You're going to see Sean Ryan, I believe it is, at right guard, who's going to seal off the backside, and then you're going to pull. That's what we mean by pin and pull. So if I say counter or pin and pull counter, right, that's what we're talking about. But I like to call the play like this. It gives you the maximum information. 11 gun, we know what the formation is, or not the formation, but we know what the personnel is. And I think it was a tray left, if I remember correctly. It could have been Dubs. But what I would have said here is 11 gun tray left. And then that tells you it's a strong left set with the tight end on the left. F zipper orbit, you know what that means. 24 GY. Each running lane is broken down with a number. On defense, we talk about, 3 tech, 1 tech, all that stuff. Forget that. Throw it out the window. On the offensive side of the ball, when you run the ball, what we're going to do is the A gap on the right be a 2, the B gap would be a 4, and then the C gap would be a 6. On the left side, 1 would be the A gap, 3 would be the B gap, 5 would be the C gap, and then on the outside shoulder there would be the 7, okay? Then the first number that you use would be the running back that's getting the ball. He's the left back. In this case, he's going to be the 2. So the first number is 2. The second number is the gap in which he runs. 24 GY. What's GY? That means you've got a guard, Elton Jenkins, and the Y, which is the traditional inline attached tight end, which is Tucker Kraft, are both pulling, okay? So they're going to lead to that side. So, again, it'd be 11 gun, F zipper orbit, 24 GY power right. And you'll notice here, man, this is a nice step. Look at Tucker Kraft getting in there doing the dirty work, man. Love to see it. So, again, we just went and tried to run down that play because Josh Jacobs mentioned it as one of his favorite plays. This isn't duo. He mentioned he loves duo, but then he talked about the creativity and mentioned this play. This is obviously a pin and pull play.
Yep.
So, that makes sense?
It does. And the Packers make it look extremely easy. You can tell LaFleur reps this hard during practices. This is all timing. And one of the best things about it is if you watch Reed, man, the way he kind of Michael Jackson smooth criminal moonwalks in that See that little move there?
Oh, yeah.
So that he can be in
It's not
position.
easy to do.
It's not easy to do at all, especially when you're timing that with the cadence too and everything that's going on pre-snap. You want to be on time so you can really deceive that defense. And we've seen, McDaniel runs that down in Miami a lot, and you don't always see the back run it as smooth as you see Jaden Reed run these orbits. And
Absolutely.
I love when they fake it and don't hand it to him on those jet motions and stuff. But certainly it works, to a T when it's timed like this. Great job by Jordan too, pirouetting and handing the ball off, all of these things. Jacobs timing that first step, to bait that defense.
Yeah.
If one guy's out of step, one guy's slightly out of sync, this whole play is busted.
It's over. Yep. And watch Zach Tom on this play, guys. Right here, number 50. Watch him get out and get the right leverage, wash him back in, give the cutback lane. That picks up another 5 yards by getting to that level. And watch the feet, just work him right in, use the leverage, wash him right out.
Yep.
Great
really,
job.
Zach Tom's making Elton and Tucker Kraft's job a little easier there by executing like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. To perfection.
Yeah, and not a great rep from Sean Ryan, but it gets the job done. You see him hold his own right there, right? Stay inside. Yeah, see, you got to stay inside the shoulder pads, and he does that, so you don't get called for a hold there. Yep. If you're outside the shoulder pads, that's drawing a flag just about every play. Elton with a great job sealing. Tucker Kraft, great job sealing. Zach Tom, great footwork. Watch the backer out of the play. Great rep. Josh Meyer, too. Good rep from Josh. Not a whole lot he has to do there. You're kind of still in a gap and taking that dude out of the play anyway, but he did what he was supposed to do.
Great job by Jacobs not tripping over Tuck Norris's foot there. He's got about 14 inches of space to slip through there. And he almost got tripped up, but he stayed on his feet, rambled forward for another 5 yards there at the end. So great running by Josh Jacobs.
Definitely. So again, I think that was the play that Josh Jacobs was talking about, and they ran it multiple times this year. Don't get me wrong. That's something that it wasn't the only time they ran it. I thought it was cool that he kind of identified that because we called out F zipper orbit all year long. I remember. All right, let's get back to the poll question. Check on Twitter. The Twitter question. Look, notice the 10 comments, Tim. That's going to be people going, I don't like either of them. Okay, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you.
Should have drafted Creed Humphrey.
There's a couple of those, I guarantee. Which player would you rather move to the center position, Zach Tom or Elton Jenkins? Elton Jenkins leads the way on X at 66.4%. It just changed with 232 votes in. Obviously, Zach Tom coming in at 33.6. So everybody kind of agrees with us, Tim. Elton Jenkins at center, leave Zach Tom at tackle. It's too valuable. So There we go. There and when we check,
we just watched is like all the proof you need, right? I mean, you highlighted Zach Tom on that. I mean, you got to feel pretty good when you're polling like that, being Elton Jenkins or Tucker coming over, and you've got like arguably the best right tackle in the NFL out there. Just he's going to do his job. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And again on YouTube, the votes are in. Elton Jenkins, 63%, Zach Tom, 37%, almost identical to the YouTube vote. So everybody's pretty unanimous. If we had to choose, put Elton Jenkins. In a perfect world, Jacob Monk just rises from the ashes and becomes an all-pro center. We ain't got to worry about it. I'm just
in an even better world, if you're voting on our polls, you're clicking the like button and the subscribe button too.
That's a great point.
Giving us a little love on that algorithm.
Love it, man. A little shameless plug there. I like it. Red Mo in the chat. I still can't believe we signed McKinney and Jacobs this offseason, even after a whole season watching. I'm with you, Red Mo.
Yeah.
What a great job by Goody, man. A great job. And listen, it wasn't hard to identify those guys as studs. But what I like about the way Goody handled it, and this is how he approaches free agency. Day one, if he's got a couple guys he likes, he's going at them.
Yep.
And I know some people would think, why not let stuff kind of shake out and see what other teams offer? I think the way Goody approaches it is I want that dude, him and Russ Ball, get him on the phone and say, here's our best offer. If you don't want it, it's fine. We're moving on to our next target. And I think it puts a little pressure on the player like, damn, I'd like to go to Green Bay. Yeah, let's do it. I think that's probably what happened there.
I agree. And it also, as a GM, it doesn't allow, the market to dictate what you're going to pay for a player necessarily. And it also puts you in a position where, if you took that approach and, let's see what these other teams offer. Well, what if the guy signs? Then you're screwed. And you don't even get a chance to offer. So I like that approach because budget's budget, right? Numbers don't lie. He's talking to old Russ and Russ is like, hey, here's what the numbers are. Here's what we're able to offer. You might as well get it out there soon. It's like poker, man. Get your chips in as early as possible, man. and try and win that hand.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the Patreon group real quick. Drew in the Patreon group said, T. Higgins is rumored to get tagged. I think the price for Godwin just went up. I believe tomorrow is the deadline for franchise tags. Would be interesting to hear if you think anybody else gets tagged. So the first thing there, Drew, tomorrow is the first day that they can designate franchise tags.
March
it's my
4th.
understanding, it goes all the way to March 4th. So they don't have to put it in tomorrow, but they have until March 4th to get it in, okay? Now, with that being said, what you're saying about Godwin, if T. Higgins does get franchise tagged, I think you're absolutely right. T. Higgins' price, or Chris Godwin's price, going to go up a little bit because that, again, supply and demand. If T. Higgins is on the market and Chris Godwin's out there, along with some of the other receivers that I know we're not big on, but other teams may be, that they're going to kind of sit out there for a little bit, and the price is going to hover, right? But if T. Higgins comes off the market right off the bat, I think the value goes up a little bit there. What do you think, Tim? Anything you want to add to it?
I was wondering if you think then, if that did happen and the price goes up for Godwin, that pretty much rules out Tampa Bay trying to keep him around, right?
Yeah.
You really think the Bucs would, go up?
What they've done in the past is they've paid two receivers, and this is the motto for me. You can pay two receivers pretty good money. They've done it over and over and over. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have both gotten paid pretty darn good throughout their career there. I could see them doing it, but I could also see it being something if they don't get him to agree early and he hits the market, they may get outbid, like you're saying. That could be the case. Because did Baker get a new deal? Am I thinking right, Tim? Didn't Baker get a new deal?
I don't know.
I thought he did. Everything's a blur now, man. We probably covered it extensively, and I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's see if I can find that real quick. I want to say he got a contract, but I could be wrong. Let's see here. Baker Mayfield, the man that Steve Harvey said he's got two black first names. That's why he liked him so much. Let's see, Baker Mayfield's spot track. All right. Let's see what we got here real quick.
Ron confirmed that he says Baker did get a deal.
There you go. Yeah. So it looks like to me, Tim, what they got here is he's under contract through 2026. His cap hit in 2025 is $35.7 million. His cap hit in 2026 is $45.7, and they added 2 voidable years on it. So what that means is in 2027, even though he's not on the roster, the cap hit is $11.5 million, and in 2028, it's $5.7 million. Okay, so if they've got the skeleton to extend him, if it looks like he's going to play at a decently high level into his 30s, that's the case. You can kind of reset the deal with a year or two and absorb some of those voided years. But if for some reason 2026 is the last year with them, then what they'll do is cut him, and all of the dead cap will accelerate to that year, which would be $11.5 million, unless they choose to do a post-June 1 designation. So essentially what it means, guys, they were able to free up $11.5 million against the cap to push that out in a couple void years is really what they did. And it's a smart move. And I don't know what their cap situation is currently, but I think if they want Godwin and Mike Evans both back, they've got the money to do it. I just wonder if they're looking to go in a different direction. I don't know enough about their roster on whether or not they've got a young stud up and coming, like, hey, this is going to be the dude to take the reins from Godwin. That could be the case as well. Godsmack AR69 with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, it sucks that the Packers ended the season with 3 straight stinkers. I need a Packers dub injected into my veins. The offseason is already long enough. Here's what I like to do, Godsmack, and we'll do it in the offseason. We'll go back and relive the season, right? And, a fun exercise to do this time of year, if you want to get that taste out of your mouth, is go back and put together your top 10 plays of the year, right? And you can go back and watch the tape, whether it's NFL Pro or just looking at highlights on YouTube. What I like to do is once the smoke's settled after the offseason, we immediately go back, start at week 1, and relive the season to get kind of a quick refresher of exactly what happened throughout the season, right? I think it's a good exercise to kind of keep you in tune with what's actually going on, as opposed to just the emotion of, man, that last game sucked, right? Kind of gives you, like, one of the things that stood out to me by doing that exercise last year, not this year, not 2024, but 2023, we started off extremely slow. They were struggling bad. They were trying to force the ball to Christian Watson and just struggling. This year, they stopped trying to force the ball to Christian Watson early, We got off to a decent start, to start to see. I know we lost week 1, but it seemed like we were in a lot better position at the halfway point than we were the year before. But again, I understand that, being frustrated with the stinker at the end of the year for sure. But thank you for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you.
I agree. Especially that Bears game, man. That was tough. Knowing that we came back, we got a field goal from McManus, and